Good morning, traders. Chris Bess here with Traders Profit Compass with another edition of Before the Bell for Thursday, July 28th, 8:43 as I'm starting the video. Okay, we had our 75 basis point rate increase yesterday. The market digested that very well. We had a negative 0.9 GDP this morning, which is the reason for the late video. I wanted to see if whatever the print was, if there was going to be a big market reaction. Looks pretty tranquil at this point. Of course, the day is still young and, the big players are not on the board, but it's nice to see that they're, we're not down 3% coming off that GDP print. So, the biggest things today, now that the GDP is out of the way, we've got Apple and Amazon after the bell tonight on earnings, and then tomorrow we've got the inflation print. I'm sure Powell knew both the inflation and the GDP yesterday. He's gotten very good at on the question and answer, the presser. He's gotten real good. There have not been many gaffes lately, and he seems to be able to talk the market through these things. And if I haven't mentioned it already, please run your player at 1.5x. Let's dive into the charts and go through this quickly so I can get the video rendered and out to you before the bell. Bitcoin, we were at the bottom of the channel yesterday. That turned out to be we talked about a pretty objective long entry. Really nice move yesterday on that risk-on environment. I was not in the trade, but there were several people in the trading room that had that. So, if you got that, congratulations. This looks like a bull flag at the midpoint line. And if markets remain constructive, the typical thing you would see is just like what you've seen over here, moves from the bottom of the channel to the top in a, back and forth type motion. I think if you're in that trade long, I would use the midpoint of the channel as your as your stop or reference point. As long as you stay above that midpoint of the channel, you should be in pretty good shape. Oil's up over $2 a barrel this morning. It seems to be like we're emerging from this downtrend channel. That should bode well for anybody that's in oil or gas type E&P names. XLE is up this morning. Sandridge Energy, SD, is up this morning. So what I'm hoping for, obviously, is a breakout and then a move substantially higher. Of course, there's going to be resistance points along the way, but that's to be expected. The main thing is that we held this 95 area right at the 200 multiple times, and now we seem like we're moving above. The oscillators on yesterday's big move came back up to 60, both on the McClellan and the NASDAQ oscillator, the NAMO. Not quite as high here. We're at 36 and NIMO at 61. So I would be, keeping the caution flag up. Bear market rally, negative GDP, decreasing liquidity. The thing that's on our side, and I've been saying this for a little while, sentiment had gotten really bearish, and institutional positioning has been very, very light, like way light. So those institutions may be forced to chase, and we're going to get more out of this than we anticipated, we're back through that 38% fib level that we've been talking about, and now we're working our way up to the 50% retracement of the big move from late March down to the mid-June lows. Now we're working our way back up to the 50% retracement area. Here we are on SPY. We've got the levels. I think right here at 404 is your pivot. And the big area of resistance for SPY will be between 410 and 415. You can see back here, before we had that liquidation sell-off, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. We spent 8 trading days in this zone. So I expect there, and we've got a high volume over price bar here and large, this signifies all the trading that's gone on in this narrow range between 410 and 415. So I don't expect price to waltz through this zone. So keep in mind that adage, roll and protect. If we are lucky enough or good enough to get up into this 410 range, and if you've been still holding long for any period of time, I mean, even a day, that would be a place where I would roll up and definitely make sure you get paid by going to the bank, because we may spend, a good amount of time here, or just come up and roll over, as the 200-day, comes down. That may be too much to ask for this particular rally to take out. But if it does, obviously, then we got a lot of room to run up above if it were to get through this, 415, and the 200 comes right in at 415. So that should be a significant location on your chart. If we zoom down, yesterday we had the gap up and really never looked back. Even after the Fed announcement, you usually see just a lot of, a big needle bar that comes way down and then they buy it up and take it the other way. That really wasn't the case yesterday. Everything was really, for a Fed day, pretty orderly, which made it a little easier to trade. So now today, I think your pivot point is 399. If there's a wobble and we come back in there, I think you should give it a long try with a stop below, and then you'll be looking for 404 and 410 on the upside. Potential downside is the morning gap from yesterday at 394. Over on the Qs, what we've done is you can see that we made a high the other day, had a 3-day sell-off, and basically have come back up to that high. The locations of highest interest are this gap that's relatively close by, and then the big zone above on QQQ is 317.35 to 322. That's where there's going to be a lot of resistance at the upper end of this big value range. And if we were to break out above 322, we've got an open gap, we've got the 200, and we've got a little bit of airspace here in the volume over price profile. Here on the 60-minute chart, you can see that where that gap lies, where the big resistance zone lies. And you can also see here a potential double top setup. You see the top here, and then you see the reach up candle here, but also notice on the PPO momentum, you've got a peak in momentum, and now we're back up at those highs, but at much lower momentum, and that's your bearish divergence. So keep that in the back of your mind. Maybe some divergence here on RSI, but not as pronounced as on PPO. IWM had a good day, gap up, came up and basically got stopped right here at this 183 area. Did a little reach above, but then came back. Really above 183, I would say, is 187. And then you've got the 200 and the primary downtrend line on IWM coming in at 191. We'll get resolution here. See, it stopped right at the top of, or it closed right at the top of the prior high, at the top of this old gap after that reach up candle. So I think you can use, I think you could use yesterday's close as the pivot, actually, 183.41. And if, price dips below and then recovers that level, that's a place to get long. Or if it pulls back to 181.50 at the bottom of the gap, that would also be a place where I would be trying along. Meta, this chart will be out of date as soon as the market opens, because they missed earnings. They were down about I think $8 or $10, 5% I think was the number that I saw. So keep in mind this lower gap. If price were to make it down to this 158 area, come back to yesterday's, or not yesterday's, what day is it? The Tuesday low here at 158, I think you can make a long try there. Why? Prior low, good volume over price bar here. And really your downside risk at that point is like 155, because you got prior lows here as well. So I view this as a band of support on Meta that runs between approximately 155 and 158. Apple had a nice day. Took out the prior high. I think you can use 156 as your pivot. And I went over to the daily chart. The next target on the daily is this little band of resistance between 160 and 161 at the top of this nice hourly channel. So that would be my target for today. If they run it before earnings, just make sure you have your game plan in place, whether you decide to hold it or roll up and hold it. I would definitely, if you're long and we get a move to the top of the channel prior to earnings, I would definitely be going to the bank, and then you can decide if it's your style or not, whether to take, an earnings, cheap shot on earnings kind of a play. Tesla, nice day, gap and go. Your buy point here yesterday, and you had plenty of time to make it, was on the recapture of 800, and then that was good for $25. Remember, capturing well-defined levels from below is typically an entry point. Now this morning, remember, and it's not marked here, 825 is the 200 day on the daily. So you get a break above the 200. That gives you a beautiful line to shoot against for a potential gap fill up to 865. Microsoft just, absolutely ripped. We closed here Tuesday night before earnings right down at the bottom of this uptrend line, and then it gapped up, made a impulsive first move, flagged for several hours into the FOMC, and then finished strong. And note that now 268 should be good support. Why? Because you got two prior highs right here. So if you get a little pull into 268, I think that would be an objective long. Or if it takes out 270, then it's got room to run to 274 and potentially 279 here at the daily 200. Amazon had a nice day as well, gapped up. This one was totally gettable as well on this takeout of 117, because we had seen prior high, prior high, prior high. So when it gapped right up to that level, if you were quick and you were watching it, you could have certainly grabbed that somewhere close to 117, whether it was 117.50 or whatever it happened to be. But then what's typical is that we ran up here to 120 resistance, had a little pullback, and then advanced. So I think any pullback into 120 can be bought, or a breakout above 123 for a run to 125.50, 126. Google, gap and go. There was a reclaim level here at 109, a reclaim at 110, 111, 112, into the gap, reach up candles to 114, could not get through, but all these levels were potential buy points if you were interested in that. So now I think this 112.25 right in there would be, on any kind of pullback, would be a good buy location, or on the breakout above 114.34. Netflix had a good day, 6%. Just working into this move, fast move, little bull flag, breakout above 220. So now 245 is definitely your upside target on this measured move out of this base. And then there'll be a decision to be made by price whether it can break into this $100 gap, or if that's the end of the run and it comes back down. Semis, good day, gap and go. Made a nice move to come up to this 228, which was our high volume bar in this upper range. And you can see after that impulsive move, you had 3 to 4 hours of consolidation before the Fed, and then you got a nice $4 move just from after the Fed, from 228 came up here to 232. So today 232 appears to be a clear pivot. Notice the prior high here. We got to pop above that and hold it to get out of this double top look at 232. ARCF, good beta, which is the reason why you even bother to trade these names to get extra horsepower, up 6.7%. Today, I think to make additional progress, you got to get through 1790. If you were to get a pullback into 1750, I think you can try to take a long there on the FinTech ARC. 4% on ARCG. Pretty clear pivot at 38. Looking for 39 and a breakout. Or if it gets rejected, coming back towards 37, 36.50. Notice the big base here. And notice that you've got another big line of support down here at 35.25. Flagship fund, 6.69%. I've got an uptrend line here. Broke below. Came back to the high volume over price bar here. Found support and has come up to back touch that. I think, if you're nimble, you can use the uptrend line as your pivot. Otherwise, I would just use 47. If it takes out 47 to the upside, I would be long there, looking for close to 49, 48.75, 49, right in that area. If there's a wobble, it could come back to 46.50 and potentially find support right along that line. And I think that's a worthwhile long if the market seems, constructive and isn't falling apart. If it is falling apart and price loses 45.50, then you're probably going to come down here to 44 rather quickly. ARCW, again, 7.5%. I think your pivot here is at the large volume over price bar. If you got a pullback into 54.25, I think you can be long there. And then the overhead levels are 56, 57, and then close to 59 at these prior highs. Micron had a nice little move yesterday. It was kind of slow getting going, but a lot of support right in here at 60. And we actually talked about if price were to reclaim 60, that would be a good buy point. And you actually got a chance to do that on this black candle. It opened high, then went down to fill that opening gap. And then when it came back through, you had a chance to get long there. And you can see that even during this consolidation, it never went back below 60. So that's a really good line to shoot against on the long side. If you did that, it was good for $2. Maybe not as productive a trade as some of the others, but in trading, you don't know that it's just going to go to 62. All you know is above 60, you have a good line to shoot against long, and you take the trades that you're watching that make technical sense, that are very objective, and then you just see what happens, and then even $2 is a good result. Of course, you're always hoping for more. Let's wrap it up there. I want to get this thing rendered and out to you so you can listen to it. Let's just see how today goes. Keep in mind, Apple and Amazon after the bell. Remember to roll and protect your positions. Make sure you get paid for your hard work and not have the crazy market wipe out your paper gains while you sit there thinking, it's going to go higher. It may very well go higher. And if you roll up and stay long, you'll be able to participate in that extended move. But if there's a fast reversal for whatever reason or no reason, you'll take a lot of comfort knowing that you already peeled off the vast majority of your profits and have them safely tucked away when that surprise reversal happens. So let's wrap it up there. Hope you did well yesterday. There was a lot of nice setups. It was nice to see, a green day. Let's see what today brings, and then we'll pick it up later. I sent out an early note. Solar names are on the move this morning on this pending DC legislation that has a lot of green energy stuff in it. So those might be some intraday trading ops or even swing trades if you wanted to go that route. So be aware of the solar group. So let's try it again. Let's wrap it up there. This has been Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Talk to you next time.